Okay, so this is what I've called Foot in the Door Part 2. Here's what it's all about. This is about using your prospects' competitors to get them to take an action. Okay, this is what we're looking at. So let's flick forward. We know how business owners can be about their marketplace. Every business owner you'll ever meet generally thinks they do the best job of everybody, that nobody could possibly do as well out as they do, and that everybody else is lucky. So this strategy builds upon that. And here's where we start from. Lots of business owners really don't like their local competitors. If you ever walk into any town and you go into one coffee shop and mention another one in town, they'll tell you just how bad they are. Restaurants are notorious for it. And you'll hear these kind of things, oh, well, this competitor, he's much worse than me because of, he's only busier than me because, and he's stolen my staff. And you get the idea that there is animosity and often dislike and distrust between local competitors. And that's not surprising. They all want to put food on their own table. So this isn't a great shock that that's something that happens on a daily basis. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to use that to achieve two things. We're going to use it to get non-advertisers to start advertising. And we're going to do it by showing the amount of search that's available for the competitors' brand names. And we're going to recommend to them a contrasting ad. And I'm going to show you how to do this. Now, this isn't automated. This isn't something that you would hit thousands of prospects a day. This is something to use if you know somebody or you think you've got a contact or a networking contact. Wherever it is you come across somebody, you can introduce this into a conversation quite easily. So here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to do some keyword research on the competitor's brand name. Okay. We're going to do some Google keyword research, look what's going on with a competitor, and then we're going to use that to show to our prospect that they should be advertising. Does this make sense so far? Someone suggested we get incriminating photos of the business owners. Matthew, I'm with you this evening. I'm definitely with you this evening. Right, let me just give you a real life example then. I'm going to flick to get an AdWords on screen. Hang on. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen again now. Now, I've logged into Google AdWords and I've gone to the keyword planning tool. And for those of you who are not familiar with the keyword planning tool, I'm going to go over this again from the start. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into, log into AdWords, go to Tools, go to Keyword Planner. I'm going to go search for, there's a company over here, and I apologize for picking the UK example for those of you who are not from over here. It's just an example that I can relate to. And I'm going to do a search for Everest Windows. Now, for those of you who are familiar from the UK, Everest Windows are a well-known brand of replacement window. I'm going to geo-target to a city called Leeds, which is where some of my family live. And I'm going to hit Get Ideas. Now, here's what we're looking for. When we click that, we come to the click on this tab that says Keyword Ideas. And that's not what I saw a few minutes ago. I had much more. Oh, it's because I can't spell. Whew, that's better. I was having a panic for a moment then. Right. So, if you are trying to prospect to a Windows company, a replacement Windows company in Leeds, in that sort of local city up there, then you can go to your prospects and go, did you know that there are 260 searches a month for the brand name Everest alone? So we're not talking For double glazing windows, we're not talking for replacement windows, we're talking on that company's brand name. Hey, Mr. Business Owner, we all know how rubbish Everest are. They're terrible, their service is awful, their prices are high. Shouldn't you be getting some of that search volume that people are typing in for them? So you directly hit with something that is so in their face, and anybody who knows who these guys are in the UK knows that they're very expensive, they're overpriced, and they don't have the best reputation apart from having some very aggressive salesmen. So if you're competing in the same space as them, they're the last people you want to get competition from. And I would always suggest with this approach, go for the biggest, most well-known company in that market in the local area that you're serving, because they'll have the highest search volume. So you'll always get the biggest number. And if you go down the page here, obviously there's 260 there, but there's a whole bunch of other searches related to their brand name. So reviews, jobs, and various different variations on it. So 260, if you're to actually spend 5 minutes and go down the list, is going to be a much bigger number than that. And you can use that, as I say, just in a conversation or in an email and say, hey, Mr. Prospect, these guys have got all this search volume for their brand name. How would you like to run an ad alongside theirs when somebody searches for Everest, that you could run an ad that says, don't buy from them, buy from us, we're better because. And this is this idea I mentioned a few minutes ago of a contrasting ad. One of the things you can do really well in AdWords is contrast. So if you have one business that says we're the best, you say you're the fastest. If say they're the most expensive, you're the cheapest. If their shop is green, yours is blue. You contrast and stand out from the crowd with something different to say. So it's a really simple way to do this, but it's really effective. I've run campaigns and have won campaigns specifically because the owner of the business wanted to beat his local competitor because for whatever reason, and it is usually actually male, so I say his, but it is usually a bloke. They are usually competitive and dislike their neighbouring businesses. So you can do this in a couple of minutes. Don't use it on a sort of broad scatter basis, but you could go after a whole local niche. You could, take a local market in the Windows market in Leeds, for example, and hit this same email or conversation with 20 prospects. Did you know Everest get 260 a month? Wouldn't you like some of that, Mr. Business? Okay, I'm hoping that makes sense. I'm going to now pause and dive back to the chat box because I can't see it while I'm speaking. So let's see what we're saying. Okay. Okay, someone's asked where did I specify the location? The location targeting is on the left-hand side of the screen. I'll come back and show it in a second. Mike says that's quite brilliant. Ricardo says it's sneaky, though very effective. It is. Business owners, we're all human beings. Nobody likes having our competition, rubbed in our faces. It's not fun. And I'm not suggesting that anybody is nasty or unpleasant or rude about it. Do it in a nice way. Do it in a way to illustrate the example. Hey, Mr. Prospect, did you know this? Now, you're missing out on those searches, those prospects, those inquiries. And by the way, there's a whole bunch of people searching for other things related to your industry, and you're not advertising, so you're not getting any of the spend. It's not meant to be aggressive. It's just meant to be a little bit of fun and something that most business owners will respond to, because particularly if they've already got any kind of relationship with you. If you're going in cold, it's a little bit harder, but it works. So Joe says it's a knockdown strategy. That's cool. So that's number 2 in our simple foot in the door strategies. What I'm trying to get across here, guys, is that there are more than one way of getting through the door here. We know we love our audits. We've seen some fantastic audits coming through the business over the last 10 days or so. I mean, absolutely phenomenal audits coming through. So we know they work really, really well. But it doesn't have to be the only trick in the book. There are other ways you can do this. Right, a couple of questions that have come off this that are really relevant. And someone has asked, a couple of people are asking the same thing. Can you advertise on a competitor's brand name? And the answer is absolutely yes. Now, I'll caveat that slightly. If your competitor's brand name is trademarked, you can still bid on it, but you cannot use the trademark in your ad copy. Similarly, even if it isn't trademarked, it would still be really bad form to use your competitor's brand name in your ad copy. I've seen businesses issue very strong letters to competitors who they think are doing that, even if they're not. So I wouldn't recommend doing that, but what we would do is we'd always recommend a contrasting strategy. So as I said before, you can bid on your competitor's keyword and you could put an ad out that says, before you buy Windows, get a free quote from us, we guarantee to beat any price. That's perfectly legitimate advert to run, if providing you can do it, of course, and it will contrast to your competitor. The key thing is know what the competitors are advertising and what their message is, and say something different. There's no point saying exactly the same as the competition, so we need ad copy that says something different. And we find competitor strategies work really, really well. Yeah, Mike says even someone like Disney. Yes, you can, providing you don't use the word Disney in your ad. There's nothing to stop you. You can bid on a competitor's keyword. You just cannot run an ad. You cannot use the word in the ad copy. Birgit suggested that it's not allowed in Germany or Austria. That's new to me if it isn't. I've not found a country yet where it is. In fact, no, that's not quite correct. We do it all the time, actually, in Germany. Well, the competitor with a trademarked ad. Now, Birgit, that might be something you and I want to follow up offline, but I know I currently have a campaign running in Germany where we specifically target a competitor's trademarked keyword, but we do not use it in the ad at all because it would get disapproved. Yeah, Matthew says, isn't this like in internet marketing where people put up ads, don't buy product X before you do something? And it's a bit like that. We've run in some cases some campaigns that have run exclusively on that method, where the only traffic that was profitable was traffic that was near the point of purchase, i.e. they're looking for a product to buy. So they're looking for a competitor, you come in with a sniper ad and you kind of steal their traffic and you get the sale rather than the competition. Only works if you've got a good product and something to say. So, okay, everybody clear on how to do that? I'm going to run through the search example again just to show you the mechanics of it. So I'm going to bring the screen back up again and show you the mechanics of it. So here's what we do. I've got another one here that I prepared earlier as well. David Lloyd is a brand of gym. So if I come to my tool and log into AdWords, go to Tools, Keyword Planner, click on Search for New Keyword and Ad Group. So I'm going to put David Lloyd Gym. For targeting, for location, this is where you set location. I don't think I actually did it last time. It was already set. So we click on here. Let's take leads off. Let's put Manchester in. I assume there'll be one there. And then we just click on Get Ideas. And we click on Keyword Ideas. Here we go, David Lloyd Gym, 170. So again, and look how cheap these ads are. Because his brand name, you can bid on people's brand names really, really cheaply. So if you want to just show some results, it's a great way to do it. So that's all you would have to do for your research. It's a 5-minute research exercise that you could send an email out to 20 prospects to say, hey, we've seen one of your competitors getting all this search volume on their brand name. How would you like to get some of it, Mr. Prospect? You can couple that with a free voucher if they're a new advertiser, which this is for targeting new advertisers. And so you can offer them £100 or $100 free ad spend from Google. So it could be quite a nice offer. just jump into the last couple of questions on that one before we move on further. Right.